Good morning, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls. Welcome to Chilltown Hoops. I'm your host, Jermaine. The youngsters call me OG. My friends call me J-Dub. Let's get to it. A lot of people don't particularly like domination. What I mean when I say that is when you see a series, whether it's in baseball, football, when you see a team dominate another team, teams like to, people like to, they like to see competition and they like to see a fight. I particularly love domination. And the reason why I love domination is simply because it's a testament of the work that the other team put in. So when I watch a team get swept out of the playoffs, I love that. I'm not saying that I like that. I absolutely love that. When I watch a football team completely stomp another football team, a prime example would be when Seattle played against Denver in the Super Bowl. Seattle's the number one defense in the league coming into that game. The Denver Broncos are the number one offense coming into that game. And to completely snuff those guys out like Seattle did is a testament to the work that they put in on defense. Because it was the ultimate test. We're the best defense in the game, numbers-wise, and we've shown it throughout the playoffs. Now we're going against the best offense in the game. This is our opportunity to show how good we are realistically as a defense. Will they talk about us like they talk about the great defenses in the game all time? And absolutely. We absolutely talk about the Legion of Boom. No doubt about that. Same thing with the Los Angeles Lakers in the 2000-2001 season. To watch them walk to the Western Conference Finals and walk through the Western Conference by sweeping the Trailblazers, then sweeping past Sacramento, and then sweeping past San Antonio in the fashion that they did, and to blow them out, blow San Antonio out in the two home games by an average of 35 a game. That's a testament to how that team clicked and the work that they put in through all the turmoil. I feel the same way about the Boston Celtics. I think the job that they did on Kevin Durant and Kyrie Irving as a whole, and what they did on that unit as a whole, completely shutting the door on them, holding Kevin Durant, who is arguably the best scorer in the game today, holding him to 40% for the series, completely shutting Kyrie Irving down, one of the better scorers in the game, shutting the door on him. Their ability to rebound the basketball. Udoka, who I wasn't high on early, not because I didn't think that he was a good coach, but because I wasn't sure about who he was. When you get first-year coaches, they find themselves in situations where, they got to make adjustments, they got to adjust to the lineup, they got to make adjustments in-game. And because it's a difference between sitting in that assistant chair and moving over to the head coach chair. You're the guy now. And these adjustments and these decisions that are made are going to be based on you. And you're the one that's going to have to take the heat for them. So to watch Udoka make the adjustments that he was making during the game, where switching off Kevin Durant, double teaming Kevin Durant, playing Robert Williams and Horford in high-low during zone. I thought that was fantastic. I thought that was fantastic that he did that. And I think that he outcoached Steve Nash. I thought they did a great job in their transition defense, because that's all Brooklyn wanted to do, was get up and down the floor and run. And to slow those guys down and make them play in half court like they did. And not just make them play in half court like they did offensively, but defensively too. Because Brooklyn, they exposed how undisciplined Brooklyn is defensively. Now, moving forward with Boston, I think Boston's got a phenomenal team defensively. I think that they run into them. I think Milwaukee ends up beating Chicago. And I think that they run into a Milwaukee team that they're going to have a really difficult time beating. Really difficult. But the way that they handled Brooklyn, who were the favorites I mean, it speaks volumes for who that team is. Now, what's the plan going forward with Brooklyn? Because Kyrie Irving, he could come off the books after this season. Kevin Durant just signed an extension. Andre Drummond, who was completely unutilized in this series. I don't understand why. He wasn't utilized nearly as much. I was screaming for Andre Drummond even before they traded for him. I thought that he would be very viable for what they were doing. His ability to clean. You have your scorers in Kevin Durant and Kyrie Irving. The problem is that your dirty work guys aren't good enough. That's the difference. Who are your dirty work guys? Brown, Claxton, Andre Drummond, who I thought that he should have been utilized more in this series, but he was not. Not even close. I thought Steve Nash didn't do a good enough job in adjusting in game. And the reason why he didn't do a good job adjusting in game is because when you come into a game or when you come into a series with an identity of this is who I am, and the other team completely thwarts that, and they make you play the way they play, there is no answer for that. There isn't one. Brooklyn wants to play fast. Brooklyn wants the game out of control. Very similar to what Golden State is doing with Denver. You know, Brooklyn wants the game 125, 121. They want the game 121, 117. They want the game out of control like that. The difference with Golden State is that Golden State actually plays defense. They have a defensive anchor. So their logic isn't, I think I can hit you more than I can stop you from hitting me. That's not their logic, which is why their offense works. There's a lot of ball movement. There's a lot of player movement. There isn't a lot of one-on-one stuff. Not a lot of that. They do a great job in keeping the defense off balance, and they adjust. When a team wants to slow the game down, we can play like that too. Brooklyn can't. Steve Nash has it one way. We want the game fast. And when the game gets slowed down, and when you slow the game down, now that means that he has to make adjustments. Not only does he have to make adjustments in the offense, he's got to make adjustments in the lineup. And he's not prepared to do that because he wants to play fast. That's why Andre Drummond wasn't viable, wasn't able to help him, which I thought that he would have been. He would have been able to, with the way Andre Drummond rebounds, you can get a lot of second chance points. You can get a lot of rebounds because offensive rebounds are similar to turnovers for the other team, and that just wasn't happening. So I commend Boston for how they handled Brooklyn. I enjoyed that domination, and I'm a huge fan of that. Absolutely I am. No question about that. I wonder what this means now for Kevin Durant's legacy. Because I'm thinking about great duos in their prime. Have I seen a great duo in their prime get swept? I mean, I watched Kobe and Shaq get swept in '98 in the West Finals. Never in the first round. I watched Kobe and Shaq get swept in '99. That was in the semifinals. That was not in the first round. Jordan and Pippen never got swept in the first round of the playoffs. I think about the great duos of all time, Stockton and Malone. I can't remember these guys getting swept out of the playoffs in round one and completely dominated, because ultimately that's what domination is. When you get swept out of the playoffs, you got completely dominated. Yes, you did. You got taken out of the series. You were not viable at all. So what does this mean for this group going forward? What do we do with them? What do we do with them? Because when you get swept out of the playoffs, I've mentioned this to you countless times. When you get swept out of the playoffs, I don't think you're close. I don't care where you lose. You can lose in the first round. You can lose in the conference final. When you get swept out of the playoffs, you're not close. And I'm trying to imagine, what is worse? Getting swept out of the playoffs in the first round or not making the playoffs at all? Because I heard LeBron James say years ago how tough it is to get to the NBA Finals and to lose the way he lost. I remember him saying sometimes he felt like, is it even worth it to get to the finals? And I can understand that logic simply because, it's hard to get there. But to get dominated like that? So what is worse? Is losing in the first round or getting swept in the first round? Is that worse than not even making the playoffs at all? I often ask myself that question. And since we're on the subject of taking advantage of a situation, I think Utah lost this series in Game 2. That was the series for them. When they went to Dallas and won that Game 1 without Luka, and then Game 2, they gave that game back to Dallas, they gave them the series back. Because this series could very well be going back to Salt Lake with them up 3-2. With them up 3-2. We talking about a Utah team who relies a lot on, they took 33s yesterday. 30 of them. And shot 10%. I thought Donovan Mitchell gave up a lot. He gave up a lot of layups. A lot of easy buckets. Simply to throw the ball out for three. He took a lot of bad shots, and I think it cost his team. Both him and Conley. I think it cost his team. No doubt about that. We're talking about a team who in the first and the third quarter, they went 0 for 14 on the long ball. That's an adjustment that needs to be made. We need to get some easy baskets. But they didn't do that. Instead, they kept jacking them. I thought that Dallas did a great job defensively in guarding the long ball line. I thought they did a great job in gang rebounding. And I do think that this series comes back to Dallas for 7, but I think Dallas ends it. I do think Dallas ends it. And when they end it, I think that there are going to be some changes in Salt Lake City. There are definitely going to be some changes in Salt Lake City. And there's going to be some big changes in Salt Lake City because we can't bring this group back. We're going backwards. We're going backwards. So there are definitely going to be some big changes in Salt Lake City. Since we're on the subject of changes, guys, I'm not going to give you a lot of nonsense about, or a lot of analysis about, a lot of analysis, I'm sorry. I'm not going to give you a lot of analysis about Philadelphia and Toronto. This series, I said this from the beginning, was not to be complicated. It wasn't. This series was a series that could have been very simple. Everything that you have, we have it. Actually, you don't. Why? I have Hakeem Olajuwon, you don't. That's the difference in this series. This series could be dominated, which would explain, the series was being dominated, which would explain why they went up 3-0. I promise you, on every fiber of my being, I will not watch Doc Rivers give up another 3-1 lead. You're telling me that I watched Doc Rivers, as a coach, give up the most 3-1 leads in the history of the NBA. No coach who has coached a team that's been up 3-1 has lost more than Doc Rivers. No coach. So now you're telling me, in addition to me having to watch that, now you're telling me that now I got to watch him give up a 3-0 lead? I won't watch. You will not subject me to that. You won't. You will not subject me to that. I will not subject myself to that. I'm out. I cannot watch that. A lot of people, they are fascinated by a collapse. This one in particular, I'm out. I can't watch it. I will not. When I'm watching a series that did not have to be complicated, and now it's become a series of coaching wits, and Doc Rivers is going to lose that. If he's getting into a coaching battle with Nick Nurse, which I said right from the beginning, does not have to be. This does not have to be that. This is very simple. I have Hakeem Olajuwon and you don't. Only except it's become that. Tobias Harris in those first 3 games, he essentially played Siakam to a tie. I thought he neutralized Siakam. James Harden, yes, he had to be better, but James Harden's ability to play make, James Harden's ability to get into the paint and get other guys involved, help tremendously. Well, none of that's worked in these last 2 games. Now we find ourselves in a situation where we're in a dogfight. We're in a dogfight. And as much as exciting as this should be, I'm not going to subject myself to watching Doc Rivers give up a 3-0 lead. I can't do it. I cannot watch that. I can't. I will not. So, but these playoffs have been great, and I'm a huge fan of domination, and I love what Boston did. I'm looking forward to the next round. I'm looking forward to what they're going to do in the next round, and I'll be around, guys. I'll be around for as long as you want me. So until then, take it light, but take it.